Shadow people. Who, or better yet, what are they? There have been many theories as to what the shadow people are. Some say that they are demons or dark entities waiting for an opening, an open door, a welcome, so to speak. Some say they are aliens not yet able to manifest themselves to us, or prefer not to. Some have suggested that they are time travelers, not quite able to enter into this dimension, yet. And others argue that they are merely watchers, spirits that simply just want to watch us, observe us. But for what reason? Are they angels watching over us, protecting us, guiding us? Or are they some dark menacing force waiting for that moment to strike? What if they are the buildup of negative energy that floats around us at all times, collecting in the darkest areas of our homes or buildings? Some have witnessed what they call the Hat Man, a dark shadow of a man wearing a hat. Others claim to see glowing red eyes. Nobody seems to know for sure what the shadow people are, but all have agreed on one thing, that they have seen them and believe in their existence. Perhaps you have seen them too. That dark moving shadow you see out of the corner of your eye, and when you turn to look, it's gone, vanishing before your eyes can completely focus on them. Or maybe, after being mysteriously awakened in the middle of the night, you have seen them standing there, beside your bed, or looming from the closet or the doorway of your room, just watching you. You blink your eyes trying to get them adjusted to the darkness, and you peer again to find them vanished or still there, watching. You feel frozen in place, not knowing for sure what you are really seeing or if your eyes are merely playing tricks on you. So you pull the covers over your head and you pray that they leave and that sleep overcomes you. People have said they feel fear or panic when they see them or feel their presence. Others feel comforted, while there are those who feel nothing at all, for they accept them as part of their everyday life. I've had my own encounters with these shadow people since I was very young. Back then I had never heard of the term shadow people or the Hat Man, and yet I recall many times waking in the middle of the night to the vision of this Hat Man, a dark shadow human-like figure of a man wearing a hat. Of course, I was told that this was merely shadows of the bookcase in the hallway, so I accepted it as that. But as I got older, I began seeing more shadow people appear, either at the corner of my eyes or pass in front of me, or simply standing there, looming from my doorway in the middle of the night. I would see them during the daytime as well. Within the past 5 years, I have seen or felt them more where I am now. Of course, not everyone will see these shadow people. There are skeptics who claim it to be nothing more than a figment of our own overactive imagination. Perhaps, but for myself and for others who have witnessed these shadowy beings, they do exist. I spoke to my very best friend, the wise Elder Brimstone, about the subject of shadow people, and she had much to say. She writes, "They look like shapes of people. Some take on a distinct form, facial features at times, but depends on the strength of their energy. Sometimes I see the darker kinds out of the corner of my eye, then look and it's gone. Or I'll notice, more like feel a presence and then see a dark figure. Sometimes it's negative energy I feel. Other times it's a wandering, curious energy. The stronger their energy is or gets around you, the more they can manifest from that energy. They are seen by children and teens more because children and teens give off some powerful energy, either positive or negative. Young children, especially babies, toddlers, and the very young, because their energies are so pure. Sometimes An entity lives off that energy and will stay for months, even years with that one person. Sometimes as you age, your energy shifts and you don't see them as often until a time of sickness, great joy, or great grief. You can still have them attached to you though, if you're what we call young at heart, if you're one that can retain in you that youthful energy, or if your soul is just open more to these energies. Like a sixth sense in a mental way, ESP, seers, shaman, etc. Some people just have the ability to hang on to that pure energy inside themselves. I believe people do see them, but immediately brush it off as a trick of the eye. Their fear factor of, well, that's not possible, nothing like that's real or true, etc. I have asked others for their own personal experience with these shadowy beings. Em writes the following. I was maybe 10 or 11 years old and I was quite sick with a stomach flu. I woke up in the middle of the night one time and I looked over to see a dark figure, darker than the room at midnight, looming near the foot of my bed. Since I was young and scared, I hid under my covers for a few seconds before peeking up to check out the figure. That's when it kind of dissipated and left me alone in the darkness. What was it that Em experienced? Was this a shadow person watching over her as she laid ill in the bed? Or was it just something she witnessed due to her illness? Could it have been a protective energy? Or a dark entity feeding off her sickness? Let's see what the next person experienced. Paul Edward Fitzgerald writes, they've always been around me since I was little. I'd see them by the bed at night. If I squinted and focused on the shadows, I could watch them move. I didn't really know what they were until I spoke to a medium at a fair who, before even finishing laying my cards out, stopped and was like, you know, you have abilities and they radiate off of you. And there's these things flocking towards that light you give off. And then she told me about shadow people. And I realized it's likely hereditary from my father's side because he still apparently sees them around. My brother has a few times too. But basically, I haven't seen or felt them in years because I listened to the medium's advice. She said to create a light barrier around myself that they cannot penetrate through meditation and such. And I haven't ever since, and nothing as of yet. I think it's depression and negativity they feed on. They want you when you're at your weakest because it makes them stronger. So Paul feels that these shadow people feed off of our negative energies. Let's see what one more person has to say about this. K.N. Johnson writes, I was terrified of a regular occurrence from the ages of 12 to 16. In the middle of the night, I would waken because my bed would shake. I had a basement bedroom with those tiny little windows, so my room was lit by only a faint shaft of light. I'd lay there, quiet, wondering why my bed had shaken. I tried to get my eyes to adjust, and then I see two dark shoes and pant legs standing next to my bed. I didn't dare look up further. I'd pull my blanket over my head and wait. And then I'd check again. Sometimes they'd be gone. Other times, they'd still be there. My heart would beat so hard, I finally called out for help to my little sister. Seriously, she was 4 years younger than me, and I'd call out her name. First, in a loud whisper, Barbie! And when nothing bad would happen, I'd get louder and louder until she appeared in my doorway and turned on my light. The shadow figure felt very real to me. I swore I saw his feet, and I felt a presence in my room, just watching me. Eventually, he stopped appearing. Sadly, my sister, now in her 40s, still remembers the fear wobbling my voice as I'd call out her name in the middle of the night. It makes me shiver recalling it, even though I don't see them anymore. Usually my eyes adjust and there's actually a piece of furniture there. Big sigh of relief. The nightmares never went away. But they're my inspiration, so I guess I'm glad of my various visitors. I think my childhood home was haunted, she continues. It was next to a railroad track and a pauper cemetery. My sisters and I all had strange events. The house where the shadow man visited was a new building, built on wooden property in a big neighborhood with no other houses. We were the only house in those woods until I graduated. Very strange. Very strange indeed. What are the signs you may be visited by these shadowy figures, you may ask? Well, if you happen to see one or a few of these shadowy beings, ask yourself these questions. Was I sober at the time and not influenced by drugs? Was I awake and sure I wasn't dreaming? Was I healthy and free from illness? Though they have been known to be seen during an illness. Was I well rested? Being overly tired or exhausted or staying up way past your bedtime can cause your eyes to play tricks on you. Did I just finish watching a scary movie or reading a scary story? Some people, myself included, are very affected by horror movies or even reading something scary. It's when our overactive imaginations can take over and cause us to see or feel things that are not there. Do not get shadow people confused with ghost or poltergeist. Shadow people are, as their name represents, shadows that appear to be human in form. So while you are laying in your beds tonight and you're awakened in the middle of the night and see a shadowy form in your closet, your doorway, or in the corner of your room, just know that a shadow person has come for a friendly visit. That is, I hope it's a friendly visit. I mean, I haven't heard of any shadow person causing any physical harm. But then again, there is always a first time for everything, right? Well, you have yourself a pleasant evening. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the shadow people fright.